Boker Tov.
Boker Tov.
Sitting here with Yehudah Katz, my brother, my friend for many, many years, and a fellow traveler. Yehudah, we were fortunate to live in the time of Reb Shlomo, and you were most fortunate to have traveled with him to a place that was a place of great oppression and a place of great historical importance for a large segment of our people. I'm speaking about Russia and Shlomo in Russia, and how he really was an instrument of opening up the very gates, the floodgates, which then allowed for the immigration of several 100,000 Jews to Eretz Israel. So I'm going to ask you, Yehudah, in your own words, to share with me what it was like traveling with Shlomo.
First of all, it was the highest honor. Going to the Soviet Union with a person who you already knew years and years before that started his connection to open gates for Soviet Jews to be able to come to Eretz Israel. And then to be there with him before, like in reality, in the geographic location, touching with people, with the music, with his heart, was just unbelievable.
Now, I know that there are many people living in Israel today who might very well have had that initial contact with Shlomo,
Right.
and that he in many ways promoted and put the idea into their heads to make Aliyah. What were some of the experiences in the many concerts that you held with Shlomo? I know that you spent many years playing alongside with Shlomo, and that was one of your purposes in going to Russia with him. What took place in those concerts? Maybe you can describe for us the spirit of those concerts.
I remember the first night in then what was called Leningrad. So we played in the, I'm not sure if it was an opera house. It was quite a sizable theater, something like 3,000 seat theater. Played the first night, and our band, Promised Land, opened up for him, played something 30, 40 minutes, and then he came on, and he just tried to make his presence felt in a way that he was there with the people. Thank you for welcoming me. What an honor to be here. And he started, he could express that musically by singing something that was sweet and mellow, Yehi Shalom B'Chelech, for example. And then, around the third song, I remember he was really getting into which at the time wasn't such a known Shlomo hit, so to speak. And he stops, and he says, Chevra, listen, I really don't understand. Okay, if you're over 80 years old, I understand. But anybody who's not 80 years old, how could you not get up and dance? And suddenly, without exaggerating, 200 young people, teenagers, people in their early 20s, jumped on the stage and started to dance like crazy. He freed their souls up in one moment. And they flew, mamish, they flew like on the wings of eagles, of the music and the soul.
Now, Yehudah, this was way before Perestroika, so the gates were really quite sealed, shut. There was a tremendous amount of oppression against anyone who expressed desire to go to Israel. What message would you say Shlomo brought to these far-flung concerts that he held there?
This actually took place before the final independence. In other words, the perestroika, the glasnost, started two years before that, and it was clear that to all the Jews, or to many Jews, in that early period of time, this had nothing, this sense of freedom, this openness, this change, had anything to do with the Jewish people. Nothing. Jews were excluded from this whole thing. And Shlomo was clearly aware of that. And he came in, and you could always feel him giving them a sense of validating their identity. Yes, they're Jews. They are something special there. They have a place, and their place is in Eretz Yisrael. That's their special place. And he told them over and over again. He said, I remember he said one night on stage, if I could get a holy helicopter, I would fly every place in this arena right now to Jerusalem. And they went wild. He was bringing to life this dream that many of them had for years. So he was a vehicle with Hashem's hope and help and strength to free them from all shackles except for the physical. And so that was just a natural thing, that it felt so natural that just 2 months later, the whole thing fell apart.
So he had no trouble in promoting Aliyah, promoting the idea of them coming to Israel, even though this was not exactly politically correct to talk about Aliyah.
It's absolutely not politically correct. Thank God.
Well, I want to thank you. It's really rare today to meet somebody who knew Shlomo firsthand, but more so who traveled with Shlomo, who was a good friend and a fellow musician who traveled the path, and who was there to experience one of the tremendous personalities, one of the incredible personalities of our time. You might say that Shlomo was the Baal Shem Tov of this day and age. There was nobody like him. There was nobody quite like him today either. And we miss him very much. And we thank you for your interview.
You know, it's one of those 3 weeks, I believe, in the sort of being with Shlomo, and with all those sweet, beautiful, untouched, unblemished souls, changed my life.